I have a large following on Twitter, and I can't get rid of this guy. Everywhere I go, he's there. It's awful. Oh, we're going to start. Good morning, everybody. My name is Terry Rounds, and I'm a volunteer with the Greater Cleveland Food Bank. Today, however, you're going to spend the next couple of hours participating in a simulation. And this simulation is designed to show you what it will be like living in a low-income family. Now, this is a simulation. It's not a game. It's not a competition. There are no winners. There are no losers. There are only learners. So try to remember that as you go through this, please. The simulation will simulate 1 month of living at or just above the poverty level. The month will be made up of 4 15-minute weeks. And during those 15-minute weeks, you need to take care of your family. Each one of you is based upon a real person. Every piece of data here is real. It was taken from clients in Minnesota. The names have been changed, but the data is exactly real for those folks in Minnesota. Each one of you has a packet in your family unit. The pamphlet describes your family members, your source of income, and it gives you identification documents. I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to study your packet. At the end of those 10 minutes, I'll give you a chance to ask questions, and I will give you more about the real detail of what's going to be happening today. So please take 10 minutes now to study your packet. Okay, community resources. Around the outside of the room, you see all of the resources for your community. Up front, we see jobs and family services. You had social services right up here up front. Next to them, we have mortgage and realty. That's where you pay your rent and stuff like that, right? Your mortgage right there. Utility company. If you want to keep the lights on, you have to pay her. And realize that it's not just lights, it's also the refrigerator. So you need to pay your electric bill. Should you need to cash a check, one place you can go is the payday loan person. The payday loan person may also give you an advance. Remember, though, you got to pay her back, and she looks pretty mean. But work out whatever it is with her, and that is the place to get quick cash, and you will get your transportation passes there. Next, we have the pawn shop, Big Dave's Pawn Shop. Big Dave is waving her hand now. If you have any items which you would like to pawn, please give them to Big Dave, and I'm certain she will treat you fairly. Next, we have the doctor. Should you have any health issues, the doctor is up there. Finally, in the back left-hand corner, we have our law enforcement official. Back here in this corner, the Community Action Center. Oh, he's closed. What are you going to do? Then we have our general employer, where you'll be making widgets. Those of you who have a job, you have to go to your employer first. You can't go off somewhere else and do some other errand. If you show up over there late, what's he going to do? He's going to fire you because he's got dozens of people out here who want jobs. Next, we have the Foodorama. They sell most everything at the Foodorama, including clothing. Next to them, if you want to cash something or open an account, or maybe make some payments on loans that you received, there we have our friendly banker. She's very easy to deal with. I'm certain you'll enjoy every transaction with her. We have our child care center next to them, and our interfaith services. You'll also notice some people sitting over here. It's also the homeless shelter. And then in the back, we have your favorite place and mine. We have the school. At the end of the month, we will debrief. We'll talk about what you experienced and your feelings about everything. Until then, until our month is up, you have a goal. You need to feed your family. You need to keep the lights on. and the refrigerator running. You need to take care of your children. Watch your children. Don't let them run around loose. Don't leave them home alone. You need to watch your children, all right? Does anyone have any questions before we begin?
I'll take you to the store. You seen my mama?
Maybe she with my mama.
All right, come on. Don't get caught. Come
My
on.
mama in jail.
Oh, my mama not in jail. You bad.
So what's the problem here?
I'm waiting for my boyfriend to bring me a bus pass so that I can go to the pawn shop so I can pay the utility bills.
Okay.
My dilemma is I am the head of the household and I do not have enough money to pay these bills.
Okay.
So I'm waiting for my daughter to get home so that I could get some of the money from her paycheck so I could go pay my mortgage, which is late.
What are y'all in line for?
Evidently, I am losing my child, so I'm waiting patiently to give them my child, evidently, I guess. I don't know. I'm a little confused as to why I'm here.
I have a lot of questions that I want to see if I can get them answered. I want to know if I can sign up for HEAP here. I want to know if where the local food pantries are. Is there any job that I can be eligible, and what's the poverty level? So I'm hoping that they can answer that for me.
I own one of
Man, get out my face.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man.
Hold on.
I was in line for social services,
Okay.
but they're full now. I'm not able to get an appointment. I'm devastated.
You're devastated.
My family really needs this.
Okay.
I'll try back next week.
Our fridge was just stolen and our stove.
Yeah, so we have no way to cook or store any of our food. Our daughter is missing.
I can see it on y'all face, so that's why I'm over here.
Don't know where she went.
You can't laugh at your daughter.
We have money in the savings account though, so that's the silver lining.
In my territory.
Oh, but y'all got to go to the bank, huh?
Yep.
I'm trying
Going to work. We gotta go to work.
You
gotta
going to work?
Yeah, we
I
gotta
just
work.
got my check like 2 minutes ago, but I'm trying to go back to work.
I know. I need
I got
to
my
work.
wife handling everything else. I didn't get a chance to
And my
cash.
husband, he's over there trying to get some bus passes from somewhere.
Some bus passes?
Uh-huh.
We need to be applying for food stamps.
I know. I need to hit a lick.
They haven't called you up yet, huh?
We've been waiting for what, about 4 hours?
Y'all gonna have to go home soon too, huh? It's about to close.
Oh,
soon.
no,
What?
no.
Oh. Oh, you said no.
will.
No.
You gonna sleep here?
Hey, they're not leaving.
The Dudley family owes me $120 for their loan at the bank. Loan payment. You have a loan payment of $120, so I'm leaving them. Leaving them.
120. Oh God, we got to add. We're gonna put this on top of everything else we owe. I hope your sister's making some money at the daycare center today.
For the robber that
Well, this is week 4. This is my 3rd week actually working. 1 week I spent the whole week trying to cash my check. But my girlfriend did get a housing voucher, so we are not homeless anymore. So that's a blessing. I've learned to just give my girlfriend all of my money so she can do all the errands and I can just stand in line trying to work. And that's really how every week goes because I don't have enough time to cash my check. So I just give her the check, I give her the money, and I just work. And I have not seen the baby except for like at night when she's already asleep. But you know,
Hey,
that's what we are.
it is. Okay.
But yeah, it is not a laughing matter.
No, we're leaving work.
And I like the simulation because I think it does
I have 2 minutes.
help us rethink what we do and the significance of it or the lack of significance of it.
Right.
So yeah.
Bad boy. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
I just wanted to learn. I want wanted to learn. Okay. Ma'am.
First week I lost my job. We were trying to find bus passes, I lost my job. Then I went and tried to get help. They didn't have anything for me. So I went to go cash a check that I had, but they said I didn't have an account, so I had to come over here to the pawn shop. I came over here to the pawn shop so I could cash my check. I got robbed at the pawn shop, but the lady said I robbed her, sent me to jail. While I'm in jail, we got evicted, and now our house looks like it's being demolished. And we're sitting in jail with, what? It's my wife.
Yeah,
because she robbed somebody.
No, I didn't rob somebody. What I did was they stole all the things we had out to pawn. $600. $600 of things to pawn. So I was walking home from the pawn shop. No, checks. No.
I have evidence.
And I found this check, and it was right there, and it was $552, and we lost $600. So here's what I'm thinking: 600, 552 is almost the same
They
thing.
can't afford a lawyer, and
our house because our house got robbed before we got evicted.
Yes, that's why I keep.
We got robbed. All of our belongings were
Sorry, you don't have an attorney. You can't get out of jail free.
We have a 15-year-old daughter, and my mother's in a homeless shelter.
They need to get the homeless shelter.
They're in the homeless shelter, and we're here.
You can't go.
Can't you reduce our bail? Like, I mean, because we're both.
Can we do a signature bond or something?
Yeah.
No. If you're evicted, I don't know if I'll ever be able to find you to go to court.
So no, homeless shelter.
Yep,
That's where I'm headed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, ma'am, sir, and I'm sorry that it's a family issue, but there's no help on this side of town.
I think this is
all right.
No.
You have a family that says they're going to sleep
your daughter is pregnant.
in your lobby if you don't
Your
call
daughter
them
is
up.
going to be eligible for medical
we have
benefits for
somebody
herself
off
and the baby,
today.
and she will
Only
receive
have
her
one
card in
case
1 month.
working.
After
So we
the baby
thank
is
them for
born,
their
she
patience.
can reapply
And
for
some of them
cash
have come back since yesterday.
You are ineligible
So
to cash
they're waiting
benefits for your
patiently. We're
current-
going to try and get to them as fast as we can.
So we got robbed. We only have $397. So I split it up 3 ways so that we can put some on a mortgage. We'll have some for food, and we can pay medical expenses. Yeah.
No.
Okay, this wasn't born yesterday. All right. I don't know. And you need to go get some ID.
Where does the child go?
I'm a child. Ain't nobody helping me. Nothing.
Okay. No.
If you're trying to go to Quick Cash, they should be able to assist you over there.
No, I don't have a paycheck to go to Quick Cash.
Sorry about that. You don't qualify. You gotta understand this. The system is like that sometimes. Just because you think you should qualify or you think that somebody else got it, you may not qualify. Like, a real talk is, if your last name don't begin with an M through a V, I'm not giving you nothing. And sometimes it's like that.
So I had one person that came to see a doctor. He was an elderly man who really couldn't afford to make his co-payment. So when I wrote his prescription, he couldn't afford to get that either. So I think it's really a reflection of what's going on today. One person. And this is our 3rd week, and I've only had one person in 3 months.
I don't have time for this. She's going to see me today.
She gonna see you?
She's going to see me today.
I noticed they don't have security over here either.
You just bump
Rush. Well, I'm not leaving.
At the end of the simulation, I talked to the participants, and I noticed a few comments that they had, which I thought were quite insightful. When they started out, they said that they felt quite comfortable with the task that was before them, which was living through a month of poverty. Then they noticed after the end of the first week that their good plans had fallen apart, and they were really scrambling to put things together. And one group said that it was just more than they could handle, and they just basically quit. Others found that they had to find other ways to meet their needs, and they went ahead and did that. The ways might have been by setting up a hustle, or even doing some illegal activities. They talked about their stress level increasing as time went on, and their level of frustration. They would have plans to do something, they would get there, and yet the agency would be closed or was not able to do what they thought it should have been able to do. And so they began to see the stress level that people who live at the poverty level deal with every day. And it helped them to become more empathetic with the students they teach, and it gave them a new insight as to ways that they could possibly help their students achieve. And it was a real eye-opener, and they're going to spend the afternoon talking about ways that they can impact their children's lives with the background that they received this morning.
Today I played a pawn shop owner, and I really got a chance to experience what it's like to be on the other side and see all the families coming with nothing and feeling really defeated and still having to give their last. Families were pawning refrigerators, stoves, with no idea how they were going to be able to provide for or cook for their families the following week. What was important was, today I need the money for something else. And it almost really made me want to go ahead and try to make deals with them to try to help them, but not really being in the position to do so myself as a business owner with needs as well. So it was really difficult. There were kids who were cutting school at the pawn shop who were stealing to go ahead and try to provide for their family and younger siblings. And that's really the reality right now in our communities.
I was the mom, and I was feeling desperate because the only money that we had was the things that we were going to pawn. And when I was at the house and he was at work, no, and I was just watching the world go, because I couldn't go anywhere because I didn't have transportation. So I had to just sit there while my daughter was in school, my husband was at work, and my mother was trying to go cash her disability check. Somebody robbed us of everything that we had. We have nothing, and then they took the little that we had.
So it's understandable to know why there are so many kids who aren't in school, because they don't prioritize it. They don't see it as something as important, because at home, I have a sibling who's younger, who's 2, who's 3, and we can't afford childcare. Or I have siblings who are younger than me who don't have food, and I need to figure out a way to go ahead and make that work because my mom is looking for a job or other things. So this was a really powerful experience.
So looking at this experience as a school, I figured that one of the ways that we can help reach more of our families and be more, have more empathy, is if we were to actually embrace the resources and maybe bring family services and the local church and have them housed inside of the school, so our families can actually have will not have to travel throughout the city and run into all of the obstacles we had to run into with transportation and the services closing. And
the time required to go to those services was unbelievable. And then the transportation going back and forth. So if all of that could be housed in one location, conveniently with the school, because we need the parents and families more involved with their kids at school, that might help.
In my reflection and working with my staff as well as with my colleagues in education, it's always about remembering what our families go through and experience, whereas our experience may be different from theirs, and how we need to be very mindful of those things, about the amount of time and energy that it takes for mothers and fathers to make their transition through the systems that they go through, just to make sure they can provide for their families. And then we ought to be supportive in that endeavor to make sure that all the students are getting what they need.
So we talk about breaking the cycle of poverty, and we say that education is the great opportunity that gets people to come out of poverty. But if you don't know what the game is, you can't play the game. And today what I observed is that we as middle-class folks don't know what the game of poverty is all about. And so when we give lip service to breaking that cycle of poverty, we're doing a disservice unless we really know the ins and outs of what people go through on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis when there is no money in your pocket. I mean, I'm charging you $2 for a transportation pass that would normally cost you $1 if you had that dollar. And so we take, it's 2 steps forward, 3 steps back when anybody tries to get ahead. And so it was a really wonderful, eye-opening experience for our teachers, our administrators, and me as a board member to see what our students go through. Cleveland is a 100% poverty district. All of our kids are getting free breakfast and free lunch because of the high level of poverty in the city. We are ranked #1 in terms of childhood poverty. Nationwide, how can we possibly make a difference unless we understand what is happening, again, on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to our families? And how do we break this cycle unless we're part of the solution?
In reflection, what really came out and stood out was the amount of resiliency that our families exhibit as they navigate these difficult terrains and making sure that their babies get what's best for them. And just a huge amount of respect for what they do every day.